everyone. Welcome. Indeed.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Now let's go.
Hey everyone, I'm Tom Viola. I'm the Executive Director at Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, and we are thrilled to join the 92nd Street Y tonight for this extraordinary presentation of Jeff Kaufman's Terrence McNally, Every Act of Life. There we go. It's also my great pleasure to introduce two actors and a lyricist who have literally been presented with probably every award the theater can give for excellence on stage. The Tony, the Drama Desk, the Obie, a table at Bar Central anytime they want it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A, and then after the Q&A, we are also going to do some specific scenes from Terrence's work. So I guess to kick this off, I wanted to ask Jeff, what was the impetus for the film? Was there a particular play you went to, or what was the moment where you went, I want to make this documentary?
Terrence's plays are so wonderful and so diverse, although they have connecting threads. And I think there are connecting threads between Terrence's life and other projects we've done. Individuals who are at the center of a community, who have a sense of how their work can change others and can push society forward. So we've done films about a priest in Haiti and the women who started the marriage equality movement and Ella Fitzgerald, but there are all these individuals who have this spark that lifts a whole community forward, and Terrence is certainly that and more. Marcia and I had the pleasure of doing this other film, as Tom was saying earlier, about the woman who started the marriage equality movement. We thought, hell, we should ask Terrence McNally and Tom Curtis if they'll be in our film and talk about their experience. And I just have to say, we didn't know what to expect when we met Terrence. He was a legend. He could have been high on his horse, but instead he was so vulnerable and so down to earth and so true about what love and vulnerability meant. It just knocked us out. And so we waited this discreet 3 months, then we asked if we could do a film about him.
So Terrence, hearing all of that, what was your reaction when you saw it for the first time?
When I saw the movie?
Yes.
That's usually the first question I'm asked, and I still can't answer because I'm overwhelmed by it, frankly, and it brings up emotions.
Is it hard to watch?
Yes. And joyful, too.
Yeah.
Hard to, there are moments all my life I will treasure, some of them provided by Nathan and Christine, and to have that to see them again, and those years we had at Manhattan Theater Club, that's so joyful, it makes me so proud and grateful. And I heard something, this is about the 5th time I've seen the movie, maybe the 4th. I heard something tonight I never heard before. It was during the run of Mothers and Sons, which is maybe the last show Anastasia's on, thank God, show on Broadway. And I was just going up 8th Avenue, and I saw the marquee, and I felt, that's me. I did what I wanted to do, and I never felt a part of the theater till that moment. And I didn't go in, or I was going somewhere else. But it took me all those years of, we were just having fun, weren't we? Or finding out who we were together. And Lynn, who we've done 3 shows together. And, also, I knew nothing about the film other than the 1 or 2 interviews Jeff did with me, which he cuts back to. But a lot of that stuff is archival. And some of those things, and I certainly didn't know my brother had said what he did about our mother. And I would never have said that. And
What would you have said?
And having Mrs. McElroy back, and I don't know if they showed the credits, but that was Meryl Streep being Mrs. McElroy's voice, and I felt such gratitude for the people in my life that you can grow up in Corpus Christi, Texas, go to a public school, and meet an extraordinary person like Maureen McElroy. Or you see a young actor sitting in the lobby looking very despondent, and I recognized him from the first play he'd done in New York, the Noel Coward play.
Present Laughter.
President Laughter. And I said, I know you from that, and I think you're a genius. And he said, thank you. And I said, you seem down. He said, well, the play I'm in is a flop, and yours is a big hit. And I said, we'll work together. And that I was present for these moments. You know, I knew Nathan before he knew Nathan. I don't know that. Before he was, and Christine. I mean, these are people I worshiped. They were my peers. But I worshiped them, and we got to grow up together and learn from one another. And so gratitude and the abundance in my life, and I'll shut up. But
Well, that was... Richard Thomas said in the film that you are extremely vulnerable and fiercely eager for connection. And I think you just proved that to be true. Nathan, you've done a lot of plays with Terrence. What brings you back every time? I don't want to say why, but I mean, I think probably an actor that's probably worked most with him?
It is an unusual collaboration. I mean, it's hard to think of. I mean, Joe Mantegna, I know, did a lot of David Mamet plays, but we've done at least 6 or 7, including the film of Frankie and Johnny. And well, initially it literally was a meeting at City Center where he was complimentary, and then within about a year later, they were trying to cast this play, The Lisbon Traviata, at Manhattan Theater Club, and it was supposed to be a much older man, and they were having trouble finding someone. And then John Tillinger, who's directing, suggested me, and I read it, and I didn't know anything about opera, but I knew this was a wonderfully theatrical piece and a tremendous part. So I was shocked that they were having a hard time casting it, because it just seemed like this is a gift to anyone who gets to play this. Sure. And so it was just sort of an instantaneous thing. I just seemed to understand whatever the passions of this character he had written, and the humor of it, and the seriousness of it, and it was just a wonderful marriage. And then I was very fortunate that after that, he had said to me, you know, I lost 2 important people in my life, James Coco and Bobby Drivers, and I feel like you've been sent to me, and I would like to, you know, write things with you in mind. And it was an incredible thing to hear from a writer of his stature, especially for a young actor. And certainly The Lisbon Traviata was the play that really, really sort of put me on the map in a way that, even though I'd been in New York for over 10 years at that point. And so then we wound up doing Lips Together, Teeth Apart, and then and Love, Valor, Compassion, and we did a revival of Bad Habits. And you know, you obviously want to work with the best people, and Terrence was one of them. His material it asks a great deal of you. It's challenging, and yet it's so incredibly satisfying, and so I just felt very, very lucky that he felt that way about me, and we had and all those plays at Manhattan Theater Club were just a great, great joy to be a part of.
Other than the plays that you've appeared in, also Christine, you and Lips Together, Teeth Apart, is there one of Terrence's plays that you wish you had done?
Well, of course, Masterclass. I mean, I look at the... Maybe I will, but you know, I look at that. I mean, Terrence really writes. I mean, he writes for all actors and both sexes, but you have to admit, when you look how beautifully he writes for the female voice and for women, for ladies, he serves them very well. And I would say Chloe, this character in Lips Together, I'm not sure I ever had a role that better fit my particular rhythms and quirkiness. I think, I don't know what he observed in me, but when it went on the page, I went, oh, I just so get this, I get it. And I will say this, Terrence just has such a passion for music. His passion for opera and knowledge of opera is unlike anyone I know, and his passion for music, and it goes into his work, and I experience his words rather like a musician when I read his material. Certainly, Chloe's a very lyrical role. She'd be like a lyric soprano, you know. He has a wonderful gift as a writer for, you know, if you read his work, you can just feel the rhythms and the lyricism in it. And because of his passion for opera, I think his plays are emotionally, you know, just very full characters that just need to express themselves. And he often writes great arias, like Nathan's in that. Was that not great, that clip?
Well, speaking of music and arias, Lynn, how does the lyricist work with the book writer in the preparation of a musical where you're both trying to try the story in words?
Well, with Terrence, we butt heads a lot, but I think it's because he's such a master at the art of putting words on a page, and as a lyricist, for me, I absorb his writing. It's like reading poetry that wants to leap into song. And a lot of times, I will steal his best work and make a song out of it. And then we go at it with, well, you know, you used a word that I want to use in the scene, and you used a word in the scene that I want to use in the song. And, you know, there's a lot of back and forth, but when all is said and done, I think Terrence, it is what Christine just said, there's such a musicality that just leaps off the page. And as a lyricist, that's where I find the poetry in the piece. It's interesting, the very first, one of the first, I should say, maybe it was the second show that I had off Broadway was a little show called Once on This Island, which went to Broadway and is now back on Broadway. But I got a note from Terrence McNally when it was off Broadway. I'd never met Terrence McNally. Everybody knew who Terrence McNally was, but I got a note in this loopy handwriting, and he praised the show, and he just said, I think it's so wonderful. And, you know, to then suddenly find yourself working on a large-scale musical called Ragtime with this great writer was extremely intimidating and just inspiring and frightening, and you know, to see him give the dreaded, if I write a comma, you pause. If you write a period, you stop speech. And I was just like, what's happening? I just love him so much, and you know, I think that's why we've done 3 shows together, because our work seems to mesh very well. And I also think that as a lyricist, I know when not to musicalize his work. He's a master scene writer, and in every one of the 3 shows that we've done together, we've figured out where not to musicalize and just let his words be, and you know, sort of be what they are meant to be, which are great scenes in musicals, which we don't get very often now. But we've got them in 3 shows. We have great scenes in our musicals, thanks to Terrence.
What is it like, Terrence, when you sit in the Sitzprobe and actually hear the music blending with the story that you and Lynn have been telling in words?
So it's thrilling.
I mean, do you hear that in your head?
First, no one can imagine. You work with the orchestration. We're used to someone pounding it out on the piano for 6 weeks, and suddenly there's, was it 15 musicians now, if you're lucky?
If we're lucky.
Yeah, but more than a piano, and it's a wonderful sound. And when musicals flow together, they're great, but it's all process. And in the movie tonight, Christine reminded me of the process of what good actors tell you, and that I'd written this play for Christine and Nathan and Tony and Swoozie, and I had not held up my end of the bargain, and she took me aside. And Tony, I did not know Tony went home and told his wife he hated the play. That was a revelation, but But
no,
I
you know what,
realize
Terrence, but I don't
theater
think it
is
was that it was a
collaboration.
bad play. It was that it was a first draft.
Yeah.
And
And
I
I-
think that Terrence loves his actors and he loves collaboration. I will defend you here. You love collaboration, so you thought, well, let's all just get in a room together and we'll fix it together. And my issue was, yes, but we have a lot of work to do as actors, and we're going to have to do some of your work as well. But it actually wound up, no, but it actually wound up being so collaborative because we had to do that together. And it was just one of the most terrifying and satisfying, but because by the time we reached the end result, we really had come through something
It was a
quite
big moment
extraordinary
a
together.
big moment in my career as a writer that we can, maybe it's not right, and let's not pretend it is right and it's not. That's why it's called rehearsal. Let's be honest in the rehearsal room. And it was very liberating because, as Nathan will tell you, the original third act of Love, Valor, Compassion took place underwater. Remember that draft? But that didn't even make it to the first day of rehearsal. So I learned that I can do my work in advance too.
No, I do remember that you showed me an early scene from Lips Together, Teeth Apart. We were in LA for some reason. I don't know what we were doing there. Oh, maybe, no. Anyway, you showed me a scene, an early scene with me talking to my wife, and it was like, I was like Tony Soprano. It was like the language was really rough. And I was like, I can't talk this way. My wife, people won't stay through the first act.
I don't remember
Oh,
that.
yeah, no, it was really vulgar, and there was some things being said that were very upsetting, and I thought, I said, I think, I don't know if this is the right way to go, but you know, it was a very, the thing about that play is that it was such a Chekhovian chamber piece. It was a very delicate thing, and it was very hard to rehearse and get right, and it was just the four of us trapped in this beautiful house in Fire Island, and everyone had a nervous breakdown at some point. Because we had to go from, we had to deliver those monologues to, your inner monologue, you would have to just suddenly break into, and it was all, it just seemed, and then it suddenly seemed in another voice, and it was very hard to figure out and to make organic. So I think that's why we just all got a little crazy at different points.
But I love being reminded of the work. Thank you. Lynn, you got me on the rebound. I graduated by
Clearly.
then.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up the Q&A here, but I would like to ask Nathan and Christine and Lynn one last question. Each of you. If you could pick one moment, working or personal, that you could relive with Terrence. When you think of Terrence and what pops into your mind, what is that moment? I mean, how do you maintain this connection in your head and heart with this extraordinary playwright?
Well, it's difficult to say because there are many moments. It's like a montage in your head. I can see Terrence at a payphone at the Russian tea room, reading to me, someone telling him, and then him saying to me what the review in the New York Times was for Lips Together, Teeth Apart.
I remember that.
And how happy he was. It was like, it was such a relief because we had been so worried about it. Or just being, just moments in the play. I remember as an actor, I felt I had trouble with emotional moments. And then we were in San Francisco doing the Lisbon Traviata, and I was on stage, and I was talking about Maria Callas. And at that point, I had talked about Maria Callas a lot. In New York, we did it at Manhattan Theater Club, then off-Broadway at the Promenade, and then we were in San Francisco, and this one night I said, I forget the line was something, and, what did she mean to me? And I started, and it was like, I got so emotional and caught up in, talking about her. And but it was because of him and his words and his passion for her, you know, coming through, and this character, and so I'll always remember that too.
Christine?
Well, I guess I have two, and I will just put the period on this discussion about Lips Together, but I have never been open, you know, I'm always very polite in rehearsals, and I like to think, and on that particular day, I was very blisteringly honest with Terrence, and so I remember when we had a break, and he said, you know, rather than be angry at me, he was very forgiving, and he said, okay, let's just get back to work, and we went to work, and it was it was a moment that made me feel closer to you, and I've retained that feeling of closeness because of that ability to be that honest, and I think that's a measure of you as an artist, that you welcome that. And then the second thing is, we lived across the street from each other on 22nd Street, and I was in Victor Herbert's old townhouse, and you were right next to the Jerry Page's townhouse, right? Well, anyway, we were neighbors, and one day Terrence came over with 2 gigantic shopping bags, and they were all of his LP opera recordings, because LPs were out and CDs were in, but he actually said, I want you to have these. And knowing his love for opera, I just thought, I think this man really, I think he really loves me. I think that's such a...
I really do.
That's just such a hard and impossible question to answer simply, but I guess I mean, seeing the film and seeing Terrence's apartment with the sun coming through the big windows, we've spent so many moments around that table with scripts open and our computers and Terrence making coffee and all of these familiar moments that our shows evolved from. You know, I'll just never forget any of that. It's just a beautiful image, and I saw it in the film, and you making coffee just is beautiful to me. And also, Terrence has given me a lot of little gifts over the years, and I have them all. I have a plaid skull cap. I have a mug that says Her Ladyship, which I drink out of every morning. I have a cameo pin that I love. I don't wear it because it's a cameo pin, Terrence. It's like, I wore them in high school, but I love it, and I have it I was like, oh. So many little things, a beautiful fabric box that I think you brought back from one of your travels, and I can't remember where right now, but it has a place of pride, and just all these little images of things that Terrence has given me with such joy. You know, it's almost like, look, I got you a hat. And I love that hat, actually. It's just the expression on your face. It's like when you give me a scene, or when you give me a hat, it's always out of love. So.
He gave me my dog, ladies and gentlemen. Okay?
Mabel.
My beloved dog, Mabel. He gave that to me. He gave me my dog. For Christ's sake.
Well, you said you wanted one.
Yeah,
I just leave
no,
it
he
on
did
your
that. Well, yeah. Yeah, well, we did. I sort of wanted
This
it.
surprise.
But you know, it's the greatest gift. That's the greatest gift, other than my husband, is the greatest gift I've ever been given is my dog, Mabel.
And Jeff, I have to ask you to wrap this up. I mean, you've been working on this for a long time. Is there a picture, a memory, something specific related to Terrence in the making of this extraordinary film?
You know, honestly, there's so much. I mean, it's a very intense experience when there's someone you admire so much and they invite you into their world and they invite you to connect with their friends and colleagues. It just blows you away. Mm-hmm. Two things. One, I swear his work is so fresh and new. Mm-hmm. You pick it up and you find something you never saw before and you think, oh my God, it was written yesterday. And so I just hope, again, that people just keep exploring it and realizing great work lives. And then the other thing is just to see Terrence and Tom together. I remember once Marcia and I were shooting a sequence that we didn't get in the film, but it was in their home on Long Island and in the Hamptons, and they were just sitting on the couch. I think they were watching some horrible award show, not the Tonys. And and they were just, mocking the people and saying, "Who's that?" And it was just, they were so sweet and loving and real together, and I love that in both of them.
And if I could just add one, Terrence is a founding board member of Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. He's been, yes, indeed. Nathan is a trustee as well. But Terrence has been on the board for 30 years. It's practically a papal appointment. But I write to the board every now and then, sort of these longish emails about something that's gone down or some issue we have to address or maybe a controversy we have to circumvent. And I'd written one recently that I really had a lot of feelings about and a lot of thought went into it. And right after I sent it, about 20 minutes, Terrence popped up on my email and I opened it and it just said, "That was very well done." And I have a file at home of letters that I hold on to for some unknown reason. And I literally, Terrence, printed that out above the email, folded it up, and put it in the file. So, thank you. So that's our Q&A. What we're going to do now are a few scenes from some of Terrence's work, and the first is going to be a scene from Lips Together, Teeth Apart, with Nathan and Christine. I think the rest of us go.
Before we begin, I think you should know the last time we did this scene was 27 years ago. But as you can see from the cover photo, we haven't aged a bit. Oh, look, we're getting a walking ovation. Thanks.
Hi.
Look, thank you.
Nope. She saw it 27 years
I
ago.
guess
She
so.
knows.
She knows.
She already knows.
She knows how it turns out. And just for, it's a great way to begin, isn't it? Walkouts. So, just for the sake of context, we play brother and sister. We're with our respective spouses. We are spending a very tension-filled 4th of July weekend in Fire Island at a house my wife has inherited from her late brother who has died of AIDS. To add to the tension, I have suspected and now know that my wife has had a fling with her husband, which has led to an argument and a rather awkward white guy physical altercation where that was very humiliating for them both. And it's been ended by my sister who poured a pitcher of tea, iced tea, over our heads. So he had, in a way to reconcile, he's offered to get some fresh clothing for me. He has gone inside. My wife has gone inside for a phone call. And I've gotten in an outdoor shower, which is sort of a wooden cubicle with a door in the front. And I have showered and I'm drying off. And my sister is listening to a cassette tape recording 27 years ago, a cassette tape recording of her daughter plunking out the chords to A Bushel and a Peck for her, which she is rehearsing for her community theater production of Guys and Dolls.
That's very good, Nathan. Now, we decided not to actually run this scene at all. So you are hearing the first time in 27 years. Here we go. I'm so glad to see you two getting along. Or should I be waiting for the other shoe to drop?
Your husband turns on a dime. Prick nice. I wish he'd make up his mind. What the
Love
hell
you,
is
a bushel
that
and a
music?
It's Megan playing the chords to my number. I know it doesn't sound like much.
Jesus.
Oh, it's just chords, for Christ's sake. Give the kid a break. Vladimir Horowitz's Who's couldn't do much with just chords.
What are you doing?
I want to see your dick.
What? Are you nuts?
Oh, come on. I'm your big sister. Let me see it.
No!
I let you see my thing when I was in high school and you were still some little squirt in the 5th grade. You and your friend Claude Barbizon came into my bedroom. I didn't make you beg.
What drugs do you take? What cult have you joined?
When have you become such a prude?
I'm not a prude, and I resent you saying that. I resent it very much.
Well, it's not like I asked to see your bank balance.
I don't believe this. Help! Police!
Oh, come on. Come on. Let me see it. For old time's sake. I'll never ask you again. It's a one-time proposition.
There. Are you satisfied?
It's very nice.
Thank you.
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you something. It's much bigger than you know whose. Certainly in that state of flaccidity. Is that a word? I think I just made it up. You tell him I said that, and I'll deny every word of it. My compliments to our parents.
What are they doing in there?
Talking.
I hear laughing.
All right, they're laughing.
Would you please see what your husband is doing with my wife?
Well, right now it looks like he's got her legs over her head in some Kama Sutra position he learned at Club Med.
That's not funny.
I know.
Then you know?
I only know what I read in the paper.
He's fucking.
He fucked her. It's over.
How do you know?
He told me.
And you believe him?
Yes.
Why?
Because I want to.
Oh, that's a wonderful reason.
Well, you got a better one?
The truth.
That word has gotten more people into more trouble than all the lies that were ever told. Fuck the truth. It's more trouble than it's worth. If I don't believe this son of a bitch, I've only got one option as I see it.
What's that?
Wait till he's sound asleep, take a hammer, and bludgeon him to death.
Bravo. So, our next. Love, Valor, Compassion takes place at a lakeside home over a summer in the lives of 8 gay men. Directed by Joe Mantello, it was produced off-Broadway by the Manhattan Theater Club in 1994, and then on-Broadway in 1995 to great acclaim and many accolades, including the Tony Award for Best Play. Tonight, we have Michael Urie and Michael Benjamin Washington as longtime lovers Perry and Arthur, and Nick Blamire and Justin Quackenbush as James and Buzz, who are facing death and finding love.
Yeah, let's do it.
Anyway, we spent all day in bed. We napped, we cuddled. Arthur read The Life of Donald Trump. Don't ask. We listened to the rain.
It stopped.
Of course it stopped. The day is shot. We'll all go out and get a good moonburn tonight.
It's not shot. Come on, we're going canoeing.
It's dusk. It's practically dark, Artie. No, absolutely not. We went canoeing.
I don't believe the rain this summer. First, Memorial Day, then the 4th.
It's simple. God doesn't want you to beat me in tennis anymore.
It's not what it means. It means he doesn't want us to develop skin cancer from overzealous exposure to his son and our overzealous pursuit of looking drop dead good to one another. Look out for that log.
That's big of him. I see it.
After age, he figures we deserve a break.
That's $5.
I think we've stopped playing that game.
Who won?
not Buzz and James.
How did we manage?
Depends on who you slept with.
14 years. I haven't been perfect, just lucky.
I've been perfect.
Sure you have.
Do you ever feel guilty?
No. Grateful. Why, do you?
It used to be nearly all the time. No, first, I was just scared, then the guilt. Massive at first. Why not me? That lingers more than the fear. We've never really talked about this. Paddle.
I'm paddling.
Every time I look at Buzz, even when he's driving me crazy, or now James, I have to think, I have to say to myself, sooner or later, that man, that human being, is not going to be standing there washing dishes or tying his shoelace.
None of us is. Are. Is. Are?
I don't know. Are? You're right, it's no comfort, but you're right.
Will be. None of us will be.
Paddle, I said.
Why not you?
That's a good question. I wish I could answer it.
Can we drift for a while? Look. There's Buzz and James. Hello.
Can we finish something for a change?
I feel guilty. You're doing all the paddling.
Good. I want you to. Look at the turtle.
I'm gonna miss all this.
Shh, don't say that. Shh, don't even think it.
There's Arthur and Perry.
I don't want to talk to anyone. Just us.
I think we're back to zero with this thing. But I'm willing to bend my shoulder and start all over again. What else have I got to do with my time? But the fellow next to me, with his shoulder to the same wheel, isn't so lucky. He gets sick, I don't. Why is that? I think we should both go together. Is that gay solidarity or a death wish?
Don't talk like that.
I will always feel guilty in some private part that I don't let anyone see but you, and not even you, all of it. I will always feel like a bystander at the genocide of who we are.
You're not a bystander.
If you didn't save the human race, you're a bystander.
Terrence's play, And Things That Go Bump in the Night, premiered on Broadway in 1965. 52 years later, the musical Anastasia opened on Broadway, currently playing at the Broadhurst Theater, with a book by Terrence and lyrics and music by Lynn Ahrens and Stephen Flaherty. Here to sing Journey to the Past from Anastasia is the wonderful Christy Altomare.
Now that we're here, people always say life is full of choices. No one ever mentions fear or how the world can seem so vast on a journey to the past. down this road, I know someone's waiting. Years of dreams just can't be wrong. Arms will open wide, I'll be safe and wanted, finally home where I belong. Well, starting now, I'm learning fast on this journey to the home, love, family. There was once a time I must have had them too. Home, love, family. I will never be complete until I find you. One step at a time, one hope then another. Who knows where this road may go? Back to who I was, on to find my future. Things my heart still needs to know. Yes, let this be a sign. Let this road be mine. Let it lead me to my past and bring me home. At
So thank you, everyone, for being a part of this extraordinary evening, celebrating truly every act of life and the remarkable career and extraordinary full life of Terrence McNally. We are indeed blessed to share in both. And we'd all now like to bring to the stage Mr. Terrence McNally.
I love you. Even though I'm stepping on your toe. Thank you. My pants are about to fall. No. That'd be cute. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, what? Oh.
Happy birthday!